So you're an e-commerce or Shopify business that is generating between 20 to 30% of your revenue through your email channels, but you want more, right? And obviously as business owners, we always want more, and we want to be getting the most juice out of our squeeze with every single marketing channel, right? And you've probably heard me say this on the channel, where I normally say, 20 to 30% generated from emails is a really good benchmark to be aiming for. But to be honest, the truth is most brands will end up at around the 25 to 30% range. And certain brands I've worked with personally have gotten up to 40 and even 50%, just like breaking 50%, right? So today I want to show you in this video from more like a macro high level perspective, how to actually scale your email systems past that 25 to 30% barrier. Because at the 25 to 30% mark, you would have exploited literally, I'd say probably like 90% of the low-hanging fruits. But the question now becomes, are they well optimized, right? So how I'm gonna structure this video is I'm gonna break it down into two parts. First part being talking about how to actually structure and optimize your flows and how to actually further expand upon them and the methodologies in which we use. And the second half is gonna be explaining how to actually expand on your campaigns. And no, it's not just as simple as just send more campaigns, right? And I'll go into the kind of like nuances on how all of that works in a second. But let's talk about flows, right? First of all, at the 25-30% mark, you would have implemented pretty much all of your basic core flows, or at least like the highest impact ones, right? Any other ones that you're missing probably will be negligible in terms of effect on the percentage of revenue generated. So yeah, let's talk about how to actually optimize them more. So first of all, the way you want to optimize the flows, let's say this is like how your flows look, right? So this, the top box would be like email 1, email 2, email 3, right? And then let's just have email 4 for the sake of a demonstration purposes. Generally speaking, if you dive into your account and then you see the analytics per email and break it down per email in each flow, what you will notice inevitably is this. The first email, this is going to be the highest revenue generating, and then this one is probably going to be the lowest revenue generating, and there's a reason for this. For example, if it's like an abandoned sequence, so that would be in the pre-purchase, right? Then what's going to happen is someone who has just completed the action, the temperature of that traffic is going to be highest. And if you can hit them with the email in a shorter amount of time, in that window is when they will most likely convert. I'm not sure if I'm like screwing up my words here, but basically you'll generally notice the top email having the highest conversions and then the bottom email having the lowest. The only exception is where, the last email you have includes some sort of offer, in which case that probably bumps it up to the second highest revenue generating email in the abandoned series. The other time that this doesn't really apply is in your post-purchase. So when it comes to post-purchase, the order is kind of like flipped, right? It's kind of flipped, and here's why. Someone who has just completed an order from your store, most likely they won't order again right away unless you give them some sort of massive post-purchase incentive to try to upsell them immediately. Most likely what's going to happen is you're going to see some purchases dripping through after this cutoff period right here, where you've set the delay right here to be something quite significant, and then they're being hit with one more email. That's when they can come back and reconsider about purchasing again. So generally in the post-purchase, what you're going to find is, unless it's like an upsell email where you're designing it to sell straight away, you're going to notice the latter half of the flow generate more revenue. You might be thinking like, why am I actually explaining this in such depth? And here's the reason. When it comes to optimizing your emails, you want to start with the top performers, right? And when I say top performers, I don't mean open rates and click rates. I mean revenue generated. For example, in your welcome series, right? You want to be optimizing the top email, which is your first welcome email first, as opposed to worrying about like the bottom 4, right? So if your top email is already converting at an insane rate, and you've already tried testing split testing a few different subject lines, then you can work your way down the flow into some of the lower impact emails. So most people, the way they optimize is they start split testing the small stuff right away. So such as button colors, copy, and kind of like the images they use for the actual email itself. These are all very low impact split tests. And if you've watched my channel for a while and you know who I am, and you kind of have seen a few of my email marketing videos about split testing, you would think, okay, let's start with testing the subject line. right? Subject line to increase the open rates, because open rates, it's much easier to double an open rate than it is to double the click-through rate. And that's just facts, right? So you start by split testing subject lines. And here's where I'm gonna pull the rug underneath your foot and I'll show you how to actually split test something even more higher impact. So the first question you should be asking yourself is not actually, is the open rate high enough? The first question you should be asking yourself is there a better offer you can run without giving away more margin, or giving away slightly more margin trading for a really, really high AOV and a really high conversion rate, right? So what I mean by this is, for example, if you're giving, let's say, like a 20% discount for your initial sign-up offer, right? This is like your welcome offer. And this yields a, I don't know, like a 5% conversion rate on welcome email one. And then it also garners a, I don't know, like $80 AOV, right? So how can you give another offer, right, whilst maintaining the same margin and just, you know, increasing AOV, increasing conversion rate, things like that? So just a spin-off on the original offer, without giving any more margin, you could reposition this offer as a bundle plus free, right? So let's say bundle. This bundle plus free offer, what you could do is you could tack on a few of your best sellers. So on the pop-up form, instead of saying, hey, we're giving you a 20% discount, it's, hey, shop this bundle now, and then we'll give you this free item. Or we'll give you this free item if you order, I don't know, like 3 or 4 more items, right? And the way this works is basically you're giving, let's say in the bundle is 5 items, right? And you're giving 1 item away for free. Or maybe if you're selling a very limited number of SKUs, so let's say if you're a single product store, but you're selling like a consumable product, instead you could say, hey, buy 4 and we'll just give you 1 for free, right? Of the same thing. And essentially you've created a different offer whilst maintaining the same discount, right? Because you're giving away 5 items and you're knocking 1 off the price, so you're giving a 20% discount. And the benefit of doing this is you're not actually losing 20% of revenue, you're actually losing like the cost of goods sold for only 1 unit of product, right? So technically you actually lose out less whilst giving out the same percentage discount. Does that make sense? Another way of doing it is, look, right? If it's 20% flat, it might encourage low average order value orders. So instead, what you could do is you could just give a slightly higher percentage up front. So that would be things like having a buy 2 plus 1 free. So it's like buy 2, get 1 free. And you might be thinking, look, on the surface, this is looking like a 33% discount, right? So buy 2, get 1 free equals 30%. This is how it appears to be. But realistically, after implementation, you're gonna find it's more like a 20, like if you adjust it for prices of the different items, it's more like a 25% discount plus a X percentage bump in AOV, right? So here's what I mean by this. If, let's say, most people go onto your store and they normally only buy 1 item from you, you've literally just doubled the average order value whilst giving away a discount. And the thing about this is, if you go onto any store pretty much, right? And the way you would run this buy 2, get 1 free offer is not by giving away the most expensive product. You're gonna give away the least expensive and you're gonna make that one free. And everyone understands this. So when they're on your store, for example, most likely their customer journey is gonna look like this. Okay, cool. I want this card case and I want this zip wallet. And they're gonna try to find a third item that is gonna be very similar in value to this. Or if you're selling a consumable product, then okay, cool, they might just add the same thing, so it's going to be the exact same price. It'll actually be a 33% discount. But let's say you're a fashion store or anything that's kind of like you only buy it once sort of thing, then what's going to happen is people are going to look, and then they're going to find 2 items that they really like, and then they're going to pick a third one, and they're going to try to get it as close to the value of the other items as possible. However, what's going to happen is most likely is they're going to pick something a bit cheaper, right? Because let's say they really, really like the sunglasses bundle, but obviously they're not going to buy 2 sunglasses, right? So they might settle for a pen case, and then they're going to find something else that's $84 as well, right? Same as a pen case, and they're going to get a note wallet for free, right? So what's going to happen is they're going to get the note wallet or the pen case for free because that's the same price, but you see how they've purchased a $300 product. So if you average this out, it's more like giving away a 25% discount plus increasing the average order value by quite a substantial amount. You net more profit giving that offer away compared to the 20%, and it's going to convert better. So that's what I mean by like, you know, is there a better offer you can run without giving away additional margin? Okay, cool. Now you've probably split tested all of the offers. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty, right? The next question you should be asking yourself when it comes to flows is the open rate high enough, right? No? Cool. Let's start split testing. More subject lines, and ultimately the value you want to be adjusting for is the end conversion metric, the amount of revenue it's generated. So for example, if you're having a 10% open rate, 0% click, and 0% conversion, then you know, okay, cool. Doubling the open rate wouldn't really increase the end conversions. So cool. Let's think about how to actually get people to click on this email, right? So you want to do everything in your power to optimize for the end revenue generated. And the question of is the open rate high enough is only really, in my opinion, the best one to ask if your email is already getting healthy amounts of conversions, because then you could just basically double the open rates, double the conversions, right? Simple enough. So the next question you should be asking is, are people clicking through enough of the time? No? Cool. Play around with the content, play around with the call to action, play around with the offer. To be honest though, if you have a good offer, like if you have a really killer offer, then people will be clicking 100% of the time unless your email is physically, like literally broken, right? So the other questions after, like from a structural perspective, when you look at each flow, is does the last email of the flow produce high revenue? Why do you want to be asking this? Because, well, it's not really the last email. Does the lowest impact email of the flow produce high revenue? Okay, you're going to arrive to one of three answers. If the answer is barely any or zero, then you might want to consider deleting that email. So what I mean by this is, imagine you have 4 emails in your abandoned series, right? Let's say this is like, I don't know, like an abandoned product. 0 flow. And this is obviously going to be the lowest impact email. If this is producing 0 income for you, and these 3 are producing like a healthy amount, then consider deleting this, right? It just means that this email is not really necessary because all of the people that will be converted here in this flow has already been converted, or at least like 99% of them. So the reason why you want to delete this as opposed to just keep it like fingers crossed one day magically someone will convert is because you don't want to be spamming people with emails that aren't benefiting either parties, right? So it's better for you to delete them so that you can actually scale up campaign volumes rather than to keep every single email. And this is like one of the biggest mistakes I see brands doing. It's like they make each flow way too bloody long. Like they make it 5, 6, 7 emails long. When realistically, if you have a full spectrum funnel, then you don't need it to be that long, max 3 to 4 emails. This video is probably going to go on for quite long. But anyways, the next answer you might arrive to is, yeah, it's generating revenue, but like kind of like an average amount, right? And this is where you want to go back to this section of the video and just ask yourself, okay, cool. Can I run a better offer without giving away too much additional margin? Is there any way I can implement maybe some urgency tactics and other kind of like direct response methods to nudge them towards the purchase? Cool. Once that's done, a third conclusion you might get to is, okay, cool. This email is generating you a shit ton of revenue. What do I do now, right? So if the 4th email, for example, is converting, let's say, I don't know, like 3 to 5% of the total people that it's being sent to, wow. That's really great. Where do you go from here, right? So how you go from here is you want to extend the flow by an additional email and then observe the results, right? See what the conversions is like. If it's converting 0, cool, remove that, split test has failed. But if it's converting more, then okay, cool, let's keep it. And then maybe if it's also performing extremely well, then we can append another one onto it as well. This is kind of like the framework and the like mental model that I have when it comes to looking at my clients' flows and just deciding, okay, cool, do I extend it? What's the right move here? Do I need to delete some emails because it's not performing? How do I split test? And how do I scale the account from a flows perspective? The next section, campaigns, right? Super fun section to be talking about. Let me just delete all of this. So when it comes to campaigns, you want to be looking at number 1, do you have good metrics already? If you're at 25 to 30% generated from emails, most likely your metrics are going to be pretty good, right? Decent conversion rate, consistently 25% or more open rates, right? Some cases for clients, I've even managed to get them around 30% of their total revenue generated with only kind of like 15%. And that's just because the size of their list and also they're facing deliverability issues. But look, the way you would want to do this is if you already have 25% or plus opens, here's how you can actually scale your campaigns. Because what this is an indication of is you have spare capacity to send more. So what does 25 to 30% open rates mean? Okay, cool. If you're getting consistently 25 to 30%, you need to be broadening your segmentation. So what I mean by that is the way I've showed you guys how to set up the highly engaged segment on YouTube is you have your opens, you have your clicks, and maybe you have like active on site or something like that, right? So opens, clicks, active on site. So opened in the last 90 days, clicks in the last 90 days, and then active on site in the last 90 days. And they'll automatically be transferred into your kind of like highly engaged segment, right? And if this segment is already getting you a crap ton of opens, like 25, 35%, what you could do is broaden the targeting to, let's say, instead of 90 days, you could expand it by 15 days and or 2 weeks or whatever to like 105 days. Or if you want to go slightly more extreme and add an additional month, you could do 120 days to just broaden that targeting, right? And you want to be broadening the segmentation whilst maintaining above 20% open rate. If it's dipping below to around the 18%, you can consider closing the gap slightly. How I would recommend you do this is you want to go incrementally. You don't want to go testing either end of extremes and then settling for like a happy medium. You want to be slowly ramping up, right? So let's say this is 90 days and then this is like 180 days engaged. And this is like your sweet spot, right? So in the past, when it comes to testing high impact variables, you want to be testing either end of the extremes and using like a binary search method to arrive at the sweet spot right here. But when it comes to slowly increasing the volume at which you send, you can't do that, right? Because if you go suddenly jump from 90 to 180 day engaged, it's going to be like a spam trigger for your email service provider, right? And you don't want that. Instead, what you want to do is you want to do it in small increments, right? So you want to increment it here. Cool. Let's say here you were getting, I don't know, like 27% on average opens on your campaigns. You want to send maybe like 2 or 3 campaigns at around the 100-day mark, right? 100-day mark, and now that's kind of hovering at around the 24%. Great, it's still above 20, so that means we can kind of like push on, right? So let's try let's just move the sweet spot right here. Let's try the 110. Right, 110, and now you're getting around 23%. Okay, cool. This increase didn't really affect it too much. Perfect. Let's try the 120, and now you're getting like 21%. And then right here, and it's still above 20, right? So you want to keep on pushing on. Let's go all the way up to like maybe 150, and now you see, okay, cool. It's dipped to around 18% open rates. Let's pull it back. Right? That means somewhere between 150 to like 130, that's where the sweet spot lies. And then you can kind of like close the gap through a binary search method, right? Next, if you're getting a 35% or more open rate on your emails, not only can you afford to broaden segmentation, but also you can send at an increased frequency. So what I mean by this is a higher frequency, so you can start like ramping up maybe 1 extra campaign a week. And the way you want to do this is you want to do it tactfully, right? You don't want to just like suddenly blast the whole list. Let's say you've already broadened the targeting to around the 110, 120 days mark, right? So if it's already on 120 day, instead of sending an additional campaign to the same segment, which is your new highly engaged segment, you want to send it to the old one, which is slightly more conservative, the 90-day highly engaged, right? So this way you don't ramp up the volume a silly amount whilst broadening the segmentation. And with the additional campaign, then you can start broadening segmentation to see how it affects open rates, etc. So another question I get, right? Hey Boyan, I'm already at 3 to 4 emails per week to the main list. Where do I go from here, right? So let's say if your frequency is already at 3 to 4, then you'll want to start creating what I call like kind of like I guess like micro segments to tailor your message to. But I have in brackets, right? And this is massively, massively important. Please, please, please only do this if your store's revenue is already at between kind of like 250 to like $500,000 a month mark. Anything below starting to target like micro segments, it's just not really worth it. And you want to be placing that attention onto other streams of traffic that is more scalable. So that would be focusing on, okay, cool, how can I find the next viral ad creative for my Facebook channel? Maybe I can explore another ad channel like TikTok, Pinterest, or YouTube, things along those lines, right? You want to be turning your attention to a stream of traffic that scales. But if you are at the 250 to 500K a month mark, or beyond, obviously, then you can look into other things like opt-in VIP or launch segments. So instead of launching to your whole list, you actually could send like a priming email saying, hey, we're going to launch this in the near future. If you want to opt in to be informed on this, click here and we'll put you in our special VIP segment, and you're gonna get like, I don't know, like early access, things like that. Or VIP segments where it's like, hey, we've seen you purchase repeatedly from us. Would you like to enroll yourself into a VIP segment? Or you could just place those people automatically, like in terms of repeat purchases, right? Things like that. So opt-in VIP and launch segments, that's kind of like a segment of a micro segment of your list that you could tailor your messaging to. Another one could be like past buyer exclusives. You could start to send like win back campaigns, just saying, hey, you haven't bought from us in a while. Here's an extra incentive. Here's an extra offer. Come back. Right? Or you can do like giveaway lists, so run more giveaways, acquire more leads, acquire more emails, etc., etc. And then from that, you nurture them through a welcome series and move them on along the pipeline from there. So that's what I mean by micro segments. There's a lot more nuances when it comes to this, but just because I know, I don't know, like 99% of you watching this aren't going to be at above like $250,000 a month in revenue. So it's not really applicable for you, but there is a lot to be done. So if you are on the off chance above 250K a month, then please do book in a call with me. Love to just chat. Even if you don't become a client of mine, I'm sure I can bring some value on that call. So thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next one. I really hope you found this useful because this is massively important.